Hey everybody, this is Jesse P. Gilmore, agency transformation coach and founder of Niche in Control, author of The Agency Owner's Guide to Freedom, and the creator of Leverage for Growth. I'm the host of the Leverage for Growth podcast, and I know that in order for you to scale your agency successfully, there are multiple shifts that need to happen within your mindset, skill set, and leadership style. I am on a mission to interview marketing and PR agency owners on their journey to 6, 7, and 8 figures and leverage the lessons from their journey to save you time, energy, and money to get your agency to the next level. If you find value in these episodes, watch the case study video to learn more about Leverage for Growth and how we successfully scale agencies at nicheincontrol.com/case study. That is nicheincontrol.com/case study. You are now listening to Leverage for Growth. Hey everybody, this is Jesse P. Gilmore, a founder of Niche in Control and the creator of Leverage for Growth. Welcome to the Agency Leverage Edition. Today I am here with James Lincoln, the founder of Goodly, a fast-growing digital agency helping local businesses stand out with high-converting websites, optimized Google business profiles, and results-driven local SEO. James has built his agency using smart systems, strategic delegation, and a clear focus on scaling without burning out. His journey from a side hustle to sustainable business, one he now runs with a few hours a day, is a roadmap for many agency owners trying to follow. Today, he'll share how he did it and what it really takes to step out of the day-to-day operations and to grow an agency that runs without you. Thanks for coming to our show today, James.
Awesome, man. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So can we start off in the beginning and tell us a little bit about the background of your agency?
Yeah, so I started Goodly, really out of necessity. I was doing an MBA program, was running out of money faster than I thought I would be. And the goal of the MBA was to buy a business. I was really into the ETA, like using SBA loan, buy a blue collar business world. My second semester of the MBA program, I was like running out of money. I need to get some cash flow in order to be able to search for a business after I graduate, and avoid getting a job. And I'd had a background selling to the market of home service owners. I'd started a little software company with some partners, 5-6 years earlier. Mm-hmm. And so I knew the market. I knew that people needed good SEO, and I just got after it.
Awesome, man. So you built the agency while getting your MBA?
Yep, I did.
How are you figuring out that whole juggle? For a lot of people, just running a business in itself is kind of a challenge. But doing that as you're getting an MBA, how did you figure out the balance, and how were you able to grow the agency while also getting your degree?
I'll make a little plug here for MBAs, right? Like I know a lot of people think that they're not necessary anymore, or maybe not worth the time off. But for me, like I went and got an MBA with a really, really narrow focus, which again was to buy a business. Mm-hmm. I went to BYU, which is, as far as like MBA goes, extremely affordable. And I came to find out through the program that when I started Goodly, there was a ton of resources at the university that helped me be successful, right? Like I was getting credit for working on my business. There's grant money. I actually didn't get any grant money, which is a whole nother story. I probably should have got a little bit of that, but didn't get any grant money. But they gave me office space. I was able to connect with people. Like it was phenomenal, right? Like being able to play that student card. And so for me, I came out of the MBA with no debt, no school debt. I think I had a little loan I took out to live off of, that I paid back right when we graduated. And, it was easy for me to build the business during the program, because that's all I cared about. Like I wasn't looking for a job. My classmates, they were out there networking with companies that they might want to go work for, and employees at those companies. And like, I didn't spend my time doing that. Like I went to probably half the classes my classmates went to because I was getting credit for my business. And I was networking with business owners that were doing what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
and selling. So it was a phenomenal time. And in hindsight, like my wife would never have let me quit my job to start a business. It just
Mhm.
the risk profile doesn't match up there.
Sure.
And frankly, I probably would have had a hard time doing that too. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I know myself.
Mhm.
The MBA was a really good kind of bridge where it's like I'm not expected to make money during the program. I didn't
Mhm.
burn any bridges leaving my company that I was working at beforehand. So like that was always in my back pocket. Like I could go back there. Like it was a really, really effective 2 years because I had such a narrow focus.
Mhm. Awesome, man. You're kind of reminding me of my college days too. I was like, I had a very narrow focus. Everybody else was all over the place, and
Yeah.
so awesome, man. And how long have you had the agency?
So officially, I say I launched it in February of 2023. So it's been a little over 2 years. I dabbled a little bit in it this summer prior to my MBA program starting. I'd had a former partner that was doing something similar and was like, "Hey, you should do this. Like, you'd be good at it." I'm like, "Oh, I'll give it a shot." And I closed 3 customers and was like, "Meh, this is hard, and it's not what I want to do." So I just kind of let things ride with them, and laid off my cold caller and kind of shut things down, not expecting to get back into it. But then when the time came where I'm like, well, again, I need a little bit of money. I'd had that 3-4 week experience where I'd built some of the framework to go out and actually build that agency. And so I say I launched it officially in February, but I did have a little 3 to 4 week stint 6 months earlier.
Sure. And bring us kind of back to the beginning piece. Obviously, there was a need for money. You were doing it at the same time as the MBA. And what were some of either the first, I know you're a systems person because we hadn't talked before, but what were some of the first kind of things that you were implementing in the beginning to kind of gain traction and figure out how to grow this thing while you're also focused on the MBA?
Yeah, I mean, so on top of the NBA, I actually had a job. There's a story around why that happened, and a deal I was looking at that I needed a HELOC for, and but I was also working, right. So like the constraint on my time was like just so high, right. We had two little girls under 3 at the time. Like I wanted to be able to spend time with my wife. Like it was a crazy time. Looking like in the moment, it didn't feel crazy, but looking back, I'm like, oh man, that was pretty wild. But because of that, I'm like, I was just forced into the systems, right? I'm like, I can't go cold call. I just don't have the time to cold call. Um, and I was like, frankly, I was looking at it because I started out by saying like, I just need a way to make some money to be able to go do what I really want to do, which is go search for a business and buy a business. I'm like, I just needed to cover our cost of living. And we were at the time living on like 5 to 6 grand a month. Um, so I'm like, okay, all I have to do is like clear that. And so like I wasn't super stressed about, going out and getting $10,000 in the first 2 months in revenue because like I had that job that was giving me some money. I wasn't expected to be making a ton of money because I'm in the MBA program. Um, and so like I went out and I hired a cold caller and I was like, all right, let's see what he brings in. If it's not a ton, like I won't be that busy. And if it's a lot, then I'll be a little busier, right? Like it didn't matter a ton because I didn't need the money right away. Um, but it was a long tail. Like I'm like, I need this money so I can like not have to have a job when I graduate. Um, and so that was a bit of a luxury, right? Like being on the lookout 12 months and say, well, I just need to be making $5,000 a month 12 months from now. And until then, I'm fine, right? If I go into debt, like that's not a huge deal because like I can always just like up my cost of living a little bit and pay back the debt. Um, and and yeah, so because I was so time constrained, like I hired a cold caller and they just made calls and passed me warm leads, and I would follow up with the warm leads. I closed a few deals that way. I still had the three. Actually, I think I only had two of the three that I had closed the previous summer. So when we started in February, I think we closed February out right around like $1,000 in MRR. And then by March, we were at 4,000. So I'd closed a few more deals in March. And at that point, I'm like, oh, this is going pretty well. So what can I do? Like I'm becoming a bottleneck here. I'm going to go hire some salespeople. And so I hired a couple of US based sales guys for minimum wage, plus commission. And neither of them really panned out. It's a long story, but one of them is still with me today, and he's been phenomenal, right? So he did pan out, but he wasn't good early on, and he actually left for a little bit, and then school ended. So by the time like from March to the end of April, like I was just out of things because I'm like, I've got my SDR calling, I've got these sales guys that are supposed to be closing deals, they didn't close any, but then when April, like school got out at the end of April, and I had a little bit more time on my hands. I had an office from the university, and that's when I just like got into closing deals. And I was able to go back through all of the leads that we'd had from February through April that were in the pipeline of my sales guys. Like I didn't have to. It was nice because I was busy because we had like a couple hundred leads, right? That had some contact. I wasn't just relying on like 2 to 3 leads a day for my cold caller. I was getting that, but that was on top of like this backlog of leads. So just got after that. And then, I mean, to rewind a little bit more and talk a little bit more about than just sales. Again, because of time constraints, like I hired someone right off the bat to do the delivery work on the SEO side. He's based in the Philippines. He's still with us today. He actually runs like our entire SEO operation now. I think he's got like 12 direct reports, and it's just grown with the company, right? Which is kind of the vision I sold him on. And so it was just out of necessity, like I just couldn't ever get involved in a lot of stuff. I was like, well, I need to go sell. You can handle the SEO. And I usually would, I had a freelancer early on that we did web development with. She was really good. I had to go through a few to find someone that was good. And now we have all in-house developers. But yeah, just the time constraints forced me into these delegation systems early on, and they weren't great. Like there was a lot of stuff that broke over the ensuing months as we grew. And I'm like, well, yeah, Google Sheets probably isn't the best way to track tasks. You know what I mean? Like probably not.
But everybody's got to start somewhere, though, right?
Got to start somewhere. I'm like, I feel like, my mindset is like, don't overcomplicate things. Like the most important thing in any business is sales. Like you got to have revenue. Mm-hmm. If you're out there building automations and like leveraging these, task management platforms and all this crazy stuff, like if you're going and building that out and you have no sales, you're just wasting time. So I'm like, do the hard stuff first, go get revenue, and you can figure out the back end. It might have cost me a couple customers early on because like maybe we missed the ball, and like that happens, and that's a bummer. But the flip side would have been I spent all my time getting the systems dialed, and I just never go get customers. Yeah. And then we'd be in a completely different boat today.
Yeah. And this is really cool getting to understand some of the first moves. I always think about business as kind of like a chess game. You're like choosing which piece to move and what's going to get you what you're wanting. And it seems like that foundational piece of getting the setter or the cold caller, and then also some fulfillment figured out, it makes it a lot easier for you to jump in and jump out. And I think there's another thing that you had said, which is what I think most people should do, either very intentionally by creating time constraints, whether or not it's external based around having kids, an MBA program, everything else that was going on in your world, or if it's based around their own choice to be like, I'm going to work this certain amount of hours, and anything that goes beyond that, I have to figure out what to do. I think those kind of was like a recipe for growth. So kind of fast forward a little bit, how has the business kind of evolved over the last couple of years, going from that foundation to where it is today?
Yeah. So, we got through that first summer and checked the box, right? Like I was happy because we'd hit 10,000 in revenue. That was like kind of the mark I was trying to hit. We had enough where I could say like, yeah, we're going to make the money we need to cash flow our lifestyle. And because it sounds silly, and I've talked to my team about this, I feel a little embarrassed by it sometimes, but because the end goal was to go buy businesses, it wasn't to run an SEO agency. Like at that point I was like, okay, like I did it, I'm done. Um, and it just, sometimes luck comes your way. And, that sales guy I hired originally, one of the two, came back and was like, hey, I'm ready to actually give this a shot. And I'm like, well, yeah, dude, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to sell anymore because I cleared the bar that I was trying to hit. And so that was, that was like June of 2023. And it just took off with him, right? Like something clicked and he was able to figure out how to sell, and we still had all the systems for leads coming in. Like I was never going to shut it off. Cause I figured like, well, worst case 4 months from now, I can just go call back 4 months of like backlog of leads. And so I wasn't super focused on it through the rest of my MBA program, like that whole second year. I tried a few things, right? Like I tried to hire a bigger sales team and I wasn't good at that. Like I made some assumptions that were wrong, right? And so that was like a huge suck on my time. I hired a customer success manager, which was incredible because that took me out of the day to day. And like now I had a system that just worked, right? We'd close a deal, they'd get onboarded, they'd get the delivery done. They had someone to contact for support. Like we were delivering a really good service. And I didn't have to be super involved. I was paying for it, right? So like my cash flow was going down, but again, I didn't need that cash flow, at that time. But then like I graduation comes around in April of 2024. And at that point we were doing like $40,000 a month in revenue. And I'm like, oh man, I actually have like kind of a business here. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of legit. And I just feel like I accidentally stumbled into it. It probably took me another 3 to 4 months to really like accept that and like let go of the dream of like going and buying a business, because I'm like, ultimately, what am I trying to do here? Right. It's like, I want to own a business so that I have time freedom and I control my outcomes and I can like live the life I want to live. Right. Time freedom doesn't mean I don't work. Right. Like sometimes I work a ton and other times I work a little bit less. But like I control my outcomes and I have a direct path to say, hey, if I want to double my income this year, I know how to go do it. It might require a ton of work, but I can go pull it off, right? Because I have this platform to grow with. And that was kind of the whole vision in owning a business, is like live the life I want to live. And I had a business under contract that summer, and a couple of people close to me just said like, man, you're trading a business that that works with no debt for a business you don't know that's going to have a ton of debt. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. I wasn't going to make much more than I was making, right, in Goodly. And so I kind of just accepted it and was like, yeah, this is a good business. And for the past, we'll say 8 or 9 months now, I've just been gung ho on like, this is what I'm doing, and this is the business I'm building. And I've continued to build a better team and invest more into the team. Like we've invested a ton into our team and our processes and our systems. And like I said, like we do, it's funny, dude. Sometimes I do these podcasts, and I actually had a customer, that was, you get bad customers, right? And this customer reached out and was like, hey, I heard you on a podcast. Like, I never want to work with you again. You just outsource everything. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. Like that's fine. Like in reality, we don't outsource anything, right? We build teams globally, but they're internal teams. And like, we deliver a great service. Just because like I have time freedom doesn't mean we deliver bad service. It means that I've paid, right, for the team to go do this. It's a trade-off. Like I could go spend 15 hours a week in my business. And this is what people don't realize sometimes, is like I could go spend 15 hours in my business, and let's say I make 200 grand doing that, right? Or I could make 110 and hire somebody for 90 grand that's going to go save me probably 12 hours of work, right? So, it's just a trade-off, right? Like the owner doesn't necessarily have to be the one running the day-to-day of the business. And I think most business owners you talk to will say they don't want to do that, whether they're a blue collar business owner or, an agency owner, or like even, doing anything, right? Like the whole point of being an owner of a business is you want to work on the business and you want to have a platform to grow. And spending, 12, 15 hours a day in the business, like talking to customers. It's like you can pay somebody to do that and you can focus on some bigger things. So, that's where I've been focused for the last 9 months. And and things have been good. We almost doubled again from April to April. And things are humming along. So I'm hoping to build another sales team, and scale that up again. Hopefully, like with some lessons learned. We've got 2 full-time US based salesmen and 4 full-time SDRs right now, and I'm hoping to get that up to like maybe 6 and like 12 in the next few months. Our delivery team's up to maybe 17 right now. Like, its delivery team's doing really, really well. I'm actually trying to promote, that customer success manager I hired to kind of be like the CEO of the business now, so I can just focus on growth. And he can kind of handle all of our systems and everything. So things have been really good, man. I'm like, I feel really lucky to have landed where I am. Sometimes again, it feels a little bit by accident, but there was a lot of work along the way.
Yeah, I think I think there was a lot of smart moves. It's that chess game again, where the moves that you made were based around kind of like the desire. The desire kept on changing as you hit certain milestones, and you hit a certain milestone where you're deciding to not have like a split attention and with the business that you might buy or the business that you own that you can just grow. And you talked a lot about freedom, which is one of the most, well, I wrote a whole book about what you're describing right now, which is leaning into that whole freedom aspect, because no entrepreneur truly gets into starting a business just to own a job. And I think that one of the most beautiful things that you did over these last few years is you're building systems and people, and it doesn't really matter where the people inside your team work from, global or not. It doesn't really matter, and it doesn't also matter that the business doesn't run based around your skills. What really matters is the customers get good results consistently, and they have everything that they're needing. So. And that's what you're setting up, which is part of the reason why you're doubling each year, which is pretty sweet. So that kind of leads towards, what are you excited about in the next 1 to 3 years with your agency?
Oh, it's a good question. Okay. And maybe before I answer it, I want to hit a little bit on what you said about freedom again, because this has been something that's been kind of top of my mind, right? Where, I didn't know what I was searching for was freedom, right? Like, I'm 30 years old, and when I was 25 and working, I had like actually a really good job, working in healthcare IT down in Dallas. Like, at that point, I thought all I want is money, right? Like, I want to make as much money as possible. And it's a little naive. I think it's normal for people to think that way. But I had like some mentors who kind of told me like that, you're stupid. That's not all that matters. And, but in reality, like, I go back and I look with hindsight, and I'm like, really all along I was just searching for freedom. Like, and I had a lot of freedom in that W-2. I think anytime that you don't have to own a business to have time freedom, right? Which is really just control over your time. If you do a good job and people can depend on you and know that you're going to get the work that needs to get done, and like, this is the most important part, is you work for the right person, like you have the right boss, you can have time freedom. You know what I mean? Like, I controlled probably 70% of my calendar when I worked that W-2. And as long as I got my work done, right, and like I built a reputation for getting that work done, like I had time freedom to say, hey, I want to go take a little time during the day to go to Costco with my family, or play with my daughter, right, who was 1 at the time. Like, you can have that freedom. And now I look ahead to where I am today, and it's really cemented in my mind that that's all that matters to me. Like, the money comes and goes, right? And you can achieve, like, I feel like I'm like, literally sometimes feel like I'm the wealthiest person in the world, because I'm like, I control 100% of my time. I don't do anything I don't have to do, right? Like, or don't want to do. Like, sometimes I do stuff that I'm like, I would rather not do this. Like, I don't love closing my books every month, but it's just like, that's okay. And my point being, like, you can achieve time freedom and time wealth far before you amass like a huge number of dollars. And I think when people realize that the younger you are that you can realize that, the better. Because, I'm 30 years old. I've got now 3 kids under 5, And I'm just like, this is the time to have freedom, right? To be able to spend time with them. And I want the same for my team members, right? Like everybody at my company for the most part has that time freedom. They have to earn it. And there's a level of trust you have to get to be able to say, I don't really care what you're doing at 2:00 on a Thursday, as long as I know the work is getting done. But like, I've had to reconcile that in my mind of like, how do I focus all of my energy on building time freedom, but like lock other people into these W-2s? And I do that by like saying you can have that freedom. There's nothing preventing you from having that freedom, barring you aren't dishonest and you aren't slacking off and like not getting your work done. So I just think that's been, such a focal point in my life for the past year, is learning that like, that's really all that matters to me, is like that I can go work on what I want to work on. And when you can do that, like the money comes, right? I'm not worried about the money. Because I know it will come over time. So like, what am I most excited over the next couple of years for is just continuing to build. Like I'm driven to just build. Like I love to build. And I've got my sights set on building a digital platform that, we can serve small businesses. I'm really into education. Like, I've completed a master's degree. I'm actually thinking it'd be cool to go do another degree. Like, I'm really in education. I think there's a huge area, an opportunity for digital education. I'm teaching this fall at a university. Like, I think there's a platform to be built there. I think that the more that I can build this like ecosystem where everything kind of leverages, like all my efforts are leveraged in like helping other businesses, whether it's like building a global staffing company, right? Because I hire globally, and it's like building that global staffing company and the infrastructure there to be able to go hire high quality talent just helps my business a little bit more, right? Or scaling up paid ads, right? Like I could have a separate paid ads company that serves all of my customers at Goodly, and vice versa. We don't do paid ads now, but I'm like, that's something that we could build out. And I don't know, dude, I'm just excited. Like I feel this immense freedom ahead to build what I want to build. And that's really exciting. So that's probably what I'm most stoked about over the next few years, and like doing it with cool people. Like I've got a really good team of people, and I'm excited to build alongside them.
There are so many things that we could talk about just based on what you just said. But yeah, super exciting, man. And you can actually tell in the sound of your voice that you are actually very excited about building either different branches of the same company or different companies that support each other, or big infrastructure. Very excited, man. For those that are listening and maybe they want to get in touch with you or learn more about Goodly, what's the best way to get in contact or learn more about what you got going on?
I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter a lot. That's probably the best way to reach me. I mean, you can always email me, james@goodlygrowth.com. I'm easy to get a hold of. I love connecting with people, and like, I think there's a ton of value in building relationships. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm focused right now.
Awesome. And for anybody that's listening, I'm going to include links to James' social media profiles and then Goodly in the show notes. And James, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be on.
Agency owners, if you want to transform your agency to sustain and grow without your direct involvement, where you can stop working in the business and start working on the business, where you can free up your time, delegate work more effectively, price and position your services to finally get paid for what you're worth, and have the team run the day-to-day, go to nicheandcontrol.com/case study now to learn more about leverage for growth. And also to book a free strategy session with us. We'll look at your systems, determine exactly what you need to do in order for you to scale this year, and to create a strategic plan so that you can live the life of entrepreneurship you've always dreamed about. Go to nicheandcontrol.com/case study now.